Hello, nerds for Yang.
Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds.
So nerds.
Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds.
Hello, nerds.
Oh, yeah, we finally did it. We have Russell from Grassroots YangGang on the Nerds for Yang channel. This has been something that Russell and I have been talking about for months now. We finally got the calendars to line up. And what better day to do it than the day of the big debate? What are you thinking, Russell? How are you feeling?
Debate day. I'm so excited, man. I'm so ready for this. It's for me, like, I'm a sports fan, and I get more jacked about these debates than I have about any game that I've watched in recent memory. It's pretty intense.
Do you agree that Andrew Yang is a Russell Wilson of the 2020 campaign?
I mean,
or you're not quite ready to go that far.
Yeah. You know what? He is. He's, no matter what situation that he's put in, he's just like Russell Wilson, man. Russell Wilson seems to find a way.
That's right. He makes it happen. He makes it happen. Even though, like, a lot of people counted him out when he was in college, that he was too short, he didn't look like a quarterback, and he's done all right, right?
But see, what you got to remember, Tom, is you're kind of poking the bear, because I'm a Carolina Panther fan, and Russell Wilson in our hearts more than one time.
Yeah, well, I mean, that last game, you didn't have your full team there, so I don't really blame you guys for not winning.
No, Cam. Cam's done in the Carolinas, but on from football. Let's talk about who's going down, Tom. Who do you think's down?
In terms of this debate tonight, I am thinking, it's going to be a very, very, very big night for Andrew. I just have a feeling that he's going to, 1 out of 7 is going to be so much better for him than 1 out of, 12 or 13, like in the old days. Secondly, I feel like Warren is sort of already hit her ceiling and descending, and Pete is also kind of like topping out. And obviously Biden, has never hit his stride this campaign yet. So there's an opening, in my opinion. And I also think I heard that the December debate is generally the most watched of the year before you go into the following year. So I have a feeling we're going to get a nice big audience. Yang's going to make some moves. And I think timed with all these endorsements and everything, the momentum is with us. But, fingers crossed. You never know, right? What do you think?
Well, I think you're right as far as Elizabeth Warren. She's already hit her ceiling, which we knew she wasn't going to be able to. Let's be honest. She's never been able to stand up against Trump in any kind of thing. All he has to do is drop that P word, and she's done. And you know what I'm talking about, Pocahontas.
You're not talking about the P tape. You're talking about the P word.
I'm talking about Pocahontas. What Trump has to do is get on stage and start talking about Pocahontas, and people lose their faith in her because they know she lied to get where she's at already. So what makes you think that she's going to be a very capable leader?
Yeah, I mean, I think authenticity is something that we all want more of. And when you think about Warren, and frankly, in my opinion, I know obviously I'm biased, but even when you think about Mayor Pete, sometimes I don't feel like they're saying what they really truly believe in their bones. And whereas with Yang, like him or not, like that guy speaks his mind.
Yeah, for sure. Andrew Yang is very, very authentic. And if you know anything about us, or you know anything about our Grassroots YangGang channel, you know that we're around Andrew quite a bit.
Yeah.
And we see him in his natural environment when the cameras are and aren't there. And that makes a huge difference when you can see somebody in their natural environment, when they're just conversing amongst who they would consider their peers, and you see the authenticity there. you know it's not fake. And when you see somebody like Buttigieg get on the stage, and he just oozes like I don't know this. There's something about him that's greasy. He reminds me of a politician, and that's not what I want. I don't want a politician. That's why I voted for Donald Trump. You know, that's why I was a Trump because I wanted change. I wanted there to be somebody who was not a politician, somebody to go in there and to drain the swamp and to do what he said he's going to do. And, you know, to say that I'm disappointed in what I've seen out of the current administration, and it's got to do with both sides. It's not just Trump's side. You know, it's not failings on Trump's part. It's the failings on the Democrats' part. It's the failings on the Republicans' part. Everybody up there is failing. They're failing. They are failing the people of the United States. And people are fed up with it. And people got so fed up with it that they elected Donald Trump as the president. If that don't tell you something, y'all, I mean, nothing will. And then you see somebody like Andrew Yang come along, and he's just this breath of fresh air, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I wanted. This guy, this is the one. This is what I all along.
Yeah.
If he can be elected president and he can implement the things that he wants to implement, man, oh man, this country could finally move somewhere. And it's just exciting to see. And it's literally changed our lives. And I think it's changed a lot of other people's lives. Just him running for president has changed lives already.
I totally agree with you. And I guess, you know, you have a really interesting perspective, Russell, because you're on the road a lot, and you get a firsthand kind of a bird's eye view, not only of Andrew on and off camera, but you probably run into some of the other candidates or you see them speaking. So we talked a little bit about Pete. Like, how long did it take you to kind of get that vibe that maybe he's not super authentic? Like, was it after a few of his speeches, or is it like right away? Or
Bro, let me tell you something. I am from the conservative side, so I'm automatically distrustful of Democrats to start with. You know, that's just the way it is. You know, and you know how the game's played. You know, and so coming from the conservative side, I get over here and I already know that Elizabeth Warren's a liar. And then Pete Buttigieg comes along and he's so just, you know, politician-y, and he's not
smooth.
He's very smooth. Yeah, he's very, very smooth. And exactly what I don't want. Then you see Joe Biden. He's been there for years and years, and him and Corn Pop never got shit done in Washington. And then you see Bernie Sanders. And Bernie's been fighting for a long time. But, you know, I was just looking online, and Bernie Sanders was in Washington before I was born. I'm 44 years old.
Yeah.
Get the hell out. It's time to go, bro. Everybody that's up there, man, I'm telling you, it oozes establishment. It oozes corporate money. And I'm so tired of it, man. And that's why we got to get Andrew Yang elected so that we can get these democracy dollars. Like, don't look at any other platform that he has. Just look at the democracy dollars thing. And it washes out the corporate money in Washington. We take the power back and give it back to the people. That one thing alone would make me vote for Andrew Yang. Just that one.
Yeah, you know, it's interesting. Like, you could argue, obviously, UBI would be freaking transformational. But even if we just did democracy dollars, it would completely transform the source of power in Washington, and may have as much of an impact, who knows, maybe more or less, depending on how you look at it. What do you think about, Russell, one thing I was curious about is a litmus test for you. Who would you want to be your neighbor?
That's great. Yeah, absolutely.
Because I think if I lived next door to Pete, I think he would be super cordial and he would be very polite. But like, if push came to shove and something affected his property line, like, I think he would not think twice about. I don't think he would be very like open to working with me. Whereas I think Andrew, like, he's the dude that, like, if you were going on a trip and you needed someone to take care of your cat or something, like I would trust him not to like fuck with my house or whatever. I don't know. What do you think? Do you think the neighbor test is valid?
You know what? That's actually, man, I love that. You are so right, man. Because you know what? Like Andrew's that dude. You know, even though he's not a drinker, you feel like you could invite him over for a barbecue, have a beer with it, just talk sports if that's what you wanted to talk. Just talk whatever. You know, Elizabeth Warren strikes me as she was my neighbor, man. She's like the second grade teacher that I never liked. You know, the teacher. Sorry, man. Sorry, y'all. I hated math when I was in school.
Yeah. I could see Warren giving you crap about maybe like, oh, the grass is a little long and you need to trim these hedges better, and like just like always like grading me, like always judging me.
And Bernie, he's gonna tell you to get off his lawn. Get off my lawn.
You'd ring the doorbell to ask him to feed the cat. I don't want you coming on my property anymore.
Get up there, whippersnapper.
Yeah, that's right.
Long time.
And turn down your damn music.
Your music loud.
That's right. Well, let's take a brief chart intermission, because I wanted to share something with you, because you raised a really what I thought was a great point about how a lot of people are tired of both parties. And so it goes to kind of talk about the importance of these independents. So here is a chart that looks at who voters are considering, but I've got an even better one, which is a chart that looks at who independents are supporting. So hold on one second. Let me bring that one up here. So I recently put together this chart this morning. Here it is. So this is looking at the Emerson December 18th polling, and it filters out all the respondents and just looks at the independents. And of the Democrats, you see Sanders and Biden have the most, but number 3 is Yang. More independents support Yang than Buttigieg, Booker, Klobuchar, Castro, Bloomberg. He's basically tied with Warren. And when you think about it, like nobody really knows who Yang is, and yet he's already number 3 with independents. That seems encouraging to me. What's your read on this? Are you surprised to see Sanders and Biden do well with independents, or?
No, but then at the same time, man, I'm looking, you know, yeah, the independents are going to be an important swing for us, but I'm looking at the Democrat side as a conservative, and I'm seeing that the Democrats are like something like 74% undecided as to who they're going to actually vote for. So, wow, you're talking about a vast resource right there in the Democratic Party, 74% being undecided. Man, if we can take Iowa and South Carolina and New Hampshire, and I think we can. I really believe that we can. You know, we're up here in New Hampshire fighting, and then we've got Dr. Jermaine Johnson, who you are familiar with, which we may see you in a couple of days, Dr. Jermaine. I miss you, brother. We'll see you soon. You know, down in South Carolina fighting hard, and the South Carolina YangGang, we're pulling pretty good down there, man. So I think we can do it, bro. I think we can do it.
Yeah, you raised a good point about, of course, the independents will be important in the general election, but of course we still got to win support from the Democrats to get to the general. So here's a chart showing of Democrats who are people considering voting for. So this doesn't, you know, because so many, to your point, are not yet kind of decided, or they may have a favorite, but they're not like locked in. And when you look at who people are considering, you can see here, Yang has busted into the top 5. He's got 11.4% of people are considering Yang. He's like in their list, more than Klobuchar and Steyer. But obviously, a lot of people are defaulting to considering Biden, Sanders, and Warren, and Pete's got some good traction there too. Noticeable absence is, Castro, Booker, some of the other folks that we used to talk about a lot. So I think this supports your argument that it's still wide open.
Yeah, you consider, man, if I was to line up the Democratic candidates, I could sit here and I could knock down just about everyone for a variety of reasons. And there's only a couple that I really can't knock down. And one of those is Andrew Yang. One of those is somebody who's getting a lot of hate right now, and that's Tulsi Gabbard. And you notice something, Tulsi Gabbard is polling very well among Republicans, who might consider her. And the YangGang, we got to tighten up. We got to keep going. And that's something that I think is also underrated as far as Andrew Yang's campaign is concerned, is the amount of Trump voters that I've talked to personally. Just me, just in my immediate family, there's 7 or 8 or 9 of us. And we were all Trump voters, and now we're all voting for Andrew Yang. And
you got the whole family behind it.
Oh, family, the whole family except for my MAGA in-law. My MAGA in-law is still, but she told me that if it comes down to and Trump doesn't make it, somehow she'll vote for Andrew Yang. So we'll take that as a win.
We'll take what we can get. Yeah, I mean, that's impressive. My family is also split, and I am not able to. Frankly, like, I've also stopped trying to have political conversations with some members of my family because it's so they're really dug in.
Man, you're telling me. You ain't telling me. I'm telling you. Look, the last conversation that I had with the MAGA in-law, intense.
Oh my God. And it was I mean, they have deep, well, I'll just say this, put it this way, the Trump supporters in my family have extremely deep convictions that anyone that opposes Trump has like nefarious motives and is just angry that the election of 2016 was lost, and they're just not willing really to have a conversation. So I've kind of given up there a little bit. Man, I'll keep trying maybe later, maybe next year.
In 2016, who was all about, listen, Trump's got to get elected. The alternative is fake news. The alternative is Hillary Clinton. The alternative is the swamp. The alternative is all these things that, we're told that we don't want, that immigrants coming in and stealing our jobs. Why would we want that? We got to secure the borders. We got to build the wall. And you know what? It all sounds good. It all sounds good until you hear Andrew Yang say, hey, guess what, bro? It's not immigrants. It's automation. The robots are stealing your jobs, dude. It's the self-checkouts in Walmart. It's everywhere you go. The self-serve kiosks at McDonald's. It's everywhere you look. Robot trucks are starting to hit the roads. It's automation. It's not some guy named Jose that just stole your job, bro. It's not.
No. Jose's kind of screwed as well. He's probably even more screwed than everybody else because low-wage earners are doing jobs that are almost always easier to automate than the high-wage earners. Yeah, so I agree with you. You mentioned Tulsi, Russell. What's your take on Tulsi? Like, you've probably seen her speak, and I'd be curious to get your read.
I have seen Tulsi speak, and I really believe that Tulsi has a heart for people. And and this is why a lot of times the more leftist Democrats hate on Andrew Yang and Tulsi so much, is because they are towards the middle. And that's what appeals to a lot of conservative people. If you put a Republican label on them, or a conservative label, let's put it that way, you wouldn't see much daylight out of either one of them, because they're very much towards the center. But I really believe that that's where most of us are in this country. Most of us aren't to the far right. Most of us aren't far left. Most of us are right there in the middle. Most of us just want to get along with our neighbors. Most of us just want to take our kids to school. Most of us just want to go to Little League games and you know, help with homework. And if our neighbor needs help, to help them out. You know, that's what most of us want. And it's so hard for us, though, right now, because 78% of us or something like that, some just outrageous number, can't make an extra $500 bill. So when that's the case and we're all broke and we're all struggling, then we kind of get into this cliquey mindset, and we're all like, you know, oh, it's got to be those people over there. It's got to be those people over there. You know, that's the reason why I'm not doing better. When in actual, nah, it's just technology has advanced to where what we used to consider as work, it's not needed anymore.
Yeah.
So like, let's let the automation have the jobs, and like, let's create a new future.
I agree with you. I mean, if you fast forward and technology is doing a lot of the crappy jobs that none of us want, and there's a way for us still to prosper and to have more free time and to take care of our family, like, that's not a bad outcome. We just need a way to transition through to this kind of new world. And as far as I'm concerned, Yang's the only one that's really talking about that, because the other candidates just don't seem to be even acknowledging it. I guess Warren was challenging whether automation is a real thing or not. Yeah.
Come on, Elizabeth Warren, let me tell you something. If you don't think that automation is real, just go into Walmart. If you don't think automation is real, just go into McDonald's. If you don't think automation is real, then you haven't been out in the real world lately. Because the fact of the matter is, it's everywhere. It's everywhere.
Yeah.
You know, guess what? Most people don't want to be a clerk at Walmart. Most people don't want to flip hamburgers at McDonald's.
Yeah.
So we could let the automation have these jobs, and we could be free as a society to create, which is what I believe we were supposed to do. We all want to create our own realities, right? So let's be free to do that.
Yeah.
My reality is not to work at McDonald's. My reality is not to work at Burger King. And I understand that people are either forced into those jobs, or it's a high school job, which is not going to be there anyway.
Yeah.
We got to evolve with the times. We just continue living in the past, because stuff like in my dad's day, it's not like that anymore.
Yep. And I worry a little bit that maybe if I had to critique Yang a little bit, just to keep it real, I do feel like he focuses a lot on all the problems that we have because of automation in terms of the disruption. It would be great to hear him talk more about sort of the new normal and how it could actually be a win-win for everyone. And it's not like, oh, automation's all bad, but you know, it's just sort of a new reality that could make life better for everyone if we're ready for it and if we prepare for it. And I know he does talk about that a little bit, but I kind of feel like there's a world where we could embrace technology, because we're not going to slow it down. Like it's sort of going to happen whether we want it to or not. We might as well kind of ride with it. What's your take? Do you feel like he talks enough about it? Maybe you've seen more of him speak than I have, to be honest.
Well, I don't think it's, and he does talk about it.
Mm-hmm.
But I kind of feel like it's more because it is such a new concept to people, because the light bulb hasn't gone off for people, that he almost has this Paul Revere mentality where he's coming. The British are coming. You know, got to wake people up first. Yeah. And then once people are woken up to the fact that, oh yeah, okay, yeah, it is. There's automation everywhere. It's taking over. Mm-hmm. You know, people are awake to that fact. Then now we can assess the situation and we can say, you know, here's the path forward. And I think that he's doing that through his policies, if not so much his language when he's talking. Because if you look at his policies, they are designed with sort of automation that's coming. And so even if he doesn't speak it with his words, I still think that he does with his policies.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. And hopefully as people get to know him better, maybe this is sort of like the evolution of his argument. First, he has to help everyone realize what's happening, and then he can help people understand how it actually could lead to a brighter future for all of us if we make the right moves. What do you think is gonna happen tonight in the debate? Like, do you think Yang's gonna have a big night, and who else do you think is gonna have a big night, and who's gonna have a tough night?
Here's what I think.
The predictions.
I think that PBS and Politico are going to give Steyer the least amount of speaking time, just so you can say that Andrew Yang didn't get the least amount of speaking time. Have the second least amount of speaking time, but he will crush it just like he always does, and pick some more people up. And I think that there was a reason why he released his healthcare plan this week. I mean, it's right before the debates.
Yeah.
If somebody's going to jump, then tonight's the night that they're going to jump on Andrew Yang. And I have a feeling that if they jump, they're gonna find a mad cat in a bag.
That's right.
If you put a cat in a bag, that mug is going to be so damn mad. He's going to scratch you. He's going to claw you. He's going to do everything he can to get out of that bag. And I'm telling you, that's going to be Andrew Yang tonight. He's going to come out. And I said this every time, Tom, I said it every time. Man, I wanted every debate to be the debate where he was like, finally just breaks out, man.
Right.
You tell me, is tonight the night?
I think it will be. And here's the question. So you and I agree. I think he's gonna land some counter punches that are really gonna surprise people. Here's the question: who do you think is going to be on the other end of who's going to be trying to put him in that bag?
I don't know if Elizabeth Warren, after she tangled with him the first time, when he's, I don't know if Elizabeth Warren wants any more of that, because since said that she's reading his book.
Yeah.
I don't think it's going to be Joe Biden. Because if you were watching on Twitter, Joe Biden just tweeted something out about Andrew Yang and about how dude's got some good ideas.
Yeah, I think he kind of likes Yang.
I think he does too. And I think that he's fishing for Andrew Yang to be vice president, but I don't think Andrew Yang wants to be vice president. If Andrew Yang is vice president, we fail. That's just what I believe. We fail. YangGang. There's only one spot that Andrew Yang can have, and that's as president of the United States. I think it's going to be Booty, to be honest with you. And I'm telling you, if Booty comes to him, I have a feeling that Andrew. You remember that where the kick the bottle top challenge, where Andrew Yang he kicked that bottle top.
Oh yeah,
that's what he's going to do to Pete Buttigieg.
Russell, I have to agree with you. This is where the nerds and the grassroots converge. I too think it will be Buttigieg, and I think for a few reasons. One, if we're lucky, I think the moderators would like to see a nice little scrap between the two young kind of candidates. Second, I think Buttigieg is arrogant and has enough hubris that he's gonna try and quote unquote put Yang in his place, and Yang's gonna smack him, and it's gonna be so awesome. I can't wait,
man. Because you think, look, come on, and see, here's where Pete Buttigieg makes this mistake too, because if you notice, he's been repeating everything that Andrew Yang has been saying. Every time Andrew Yang comes out with something new, Pete Buttigieg wants to go the next day when he's talking to a crowd and say the same thing. And that, you're right, he is arrogant. You know, he was so. I saw him on the video clip where somebody asked him about his donors and how, like, tell everybody who his donors was and how he was taking all this big money and stuff.
Yeah.
And I think he's that arrogant, Pete, that you saw in that clip. That's that will attack Andrew Yang. And when he does, Andrew Yang is gonna get a hold of him, and it's gonna be fun because Steyer's not gonna do it.
No,
Steyer's not gonna do it.
Well, I feel like Steyer and Yang get along. I feel like I wouldn't be surprised if Steyer kind of likes it. I feel like a lot of the candidates like Yang, except for Buttigieg. I don't think Buttigieg likes Yang.
That's because Buttigieg feels threatened.
Yeah.
he knows that, like, until I don't know, Buttigieg has this thing in his head where he served in the military and he feels like he's groomed and he feels like I don't know, he feels like he should be a politician, if that makes sense. Andrew Yang doesn't feel that way.
No, Buttigieg, it would not surprise me if he, like, like in 5th grade, like he ran for student council and he was an Eagle Scout and like he did all the right things, but you wonder, like, well, was he doing it because he was really interested in these things, or was he doing it because he was sort of checking off a bunch of boxes? And I kind of feel like that way about Buttigieg. I mean, obviously, I would still take him over Trump, but I would much prefer someone else. What do you think about Klobuchar? Do you think Klobuchar is kind of like looking to break out? She might be in a bag as well. I don't know if I want to put her in a bag.
Tom, I'll be honest with you. Until you say Klobuchar, I'd forgotten about her. I mean, she makes no impression on me whatsoever. If I'm looking at a strong leader that I want to lead this country, Amy Klobuchar is not it. She's not it.
Yeah.
She's at best a role player in government, and I don't even know if she's awesome at that, really. She is kind of what she is.
Yeah, she doesn't feel like a leader with a capital L, like strong, like bold ideas, courageous. I mean, I will say, in fairness to the Klobuchar supporters, I do feel like she's a hardworking, pragmatic, like execution kind of person that gets stuff done, and I would appreciate that about her, like in a Yang administration. But I don't feel like I don't think she would hold up. I don't know how she would do against Trump.
Man, Trump would crush her, bro. It wouldn't even. I mean, it just would not even be close. He would make some kind of remark, and I don't know. You know how Trump does. That's the thing about Trump. It's like no matter what he says, it always lands. Yeah. If he swings, it lands. Yeah. Like no matter what it is, he can tell you that you can hate his guts and you're still gonna vote for him, and that's just what Trump is. And he would mow somebody like Klobuchar down, man. To me, she screams middle management. Her ceiling to me, she does not scream world leader. Andrew Yang screams once in a lifetime candidate.
It's true. And when you say world leader, it's interesting because I work out of Europe most of the year, and I get to chat with a lot of folks who are from a variety of countries. And what's interesting is a lot of the Europeans are like, oh, this Yang guy, he seems like someone that's got a lot of new ideas that's like very unusual and kind of like refreshing. And I kind of feel like Yang would actually raise the sort of the influence of the U.S. back to where we used to be, where we were, very well respected and looked up to. And you can't say the same now. Like you talk to people outside of the country, they generally have a different view of the U.S. than they did, 5 years ago.
Not only would he do that, not only would he raise America back up to where it used to be, I really believe that Andrew Yang would raise the bar for leaders all across the United States, because people in the United States, or they used to, and I believe that they would again if Andrew Yang was the president. There are so many people who watch our Grassroots YangGang channel who are from other countries, and they're for Andrew Yang because they know how life-changing this would be in their country. Yes. And that lets you know if he can raise the world standard and everybody be like, you know what? Yeah, we should all be like the United States. Why haven't we been doing this now? Why haven't we been doing this so long? Why do we have homeless people? Most homeless people don't want to be homeless. Most homeless people are victims of circumstance for whatever in their life. Now, are there always going to be homeless people? Yes, because there's always going to be some people you could give them the world and they're still going to screw it up. But most homeless people don't want to be homeless. And if we have this revolutionary idea where we can tax tech companies and put $1,000 a month into each and every homeless person's hand. Isn't that what we're supposed to do, y'all?
Yeah.
It's humanity first, man. And
Can
I
you-
think that we lose sight of that here in America because we have been so constrained with our own problems. And now Andrew Yang's come along and he's like, hey guys, we got to get back to humanity. We got to get back to caring about each other. We got to get back to loving each other, y'all.
You make a great point about if the rest of the world followed in our footsteps and introduced some similar UBI programs. You could argue that a lot of the problems we have with sort of mass migration and people trying to escape these terrible situations they're in would probably be reduced. And there would probably be less of a need to escape your country and go to another country with more resources if everybody had a floor that they couldn't fall under. So, I mean, wouldn't that be fantastic if, once again, the U.S. leads the way and we're like, you know what, we have a new way to address this issue of like increasing income inequality, and we do think that there should be a floor, and people shouldn't be literally like forced to live in the streets or, you know, not be able to take care of themselves or their family. You know, fingers crossed. One thing that I did want to show, Russell, I'll take a quick data break. Let me share another chart with you. I just can't help it. But this is about.
You people love charts too.
You know, everybody loves charts. Here's one about YouTube searches, Google searches, and then we'll do YouTube searches. Okay, so this is over the last 7 days. Searches for Yang, Buttigieg. We don't need Beto anymore. Let's remove him, and we don't need Kamala. So, well, who are we most interested in terms of comparing ourselves? Probably Warren, maybe, right?
And Sanders.
Yeah. All right. Hold on. Why isn't my computer reacting? Well, with Buttigieg alone, let me refresh this. With Buttigieg alone, you'll notice that he actually is pretty strong, but we're actually getting more searches than him. I think that has something to do with the recent endorsements and probably the Ellen show. But if we look at Warren, she is also below us. Oh, this is a fantastic chart. I'm loving this more. And then we want Bernie Sanders. So you see, in terms of load, okay. Ooh, wait a minute. Who's this? Oh, Sanders is getting some love on search. Respect. So we're number 2, and then what about? Is anybody searching for Joe Biden?
No.
You don't even need to see the data. You know, Russell. Oh no, there's people searching for him.
Those are bots.
So if we go in the past 30 days, oh, you know, they might be searching for Biden because of the impeachment stuff.
Yeah, or it might be Biden searching for Biden.
You
never.
And then let's see YouTube. We usually do a lot of recent Biden action on YouTube, and then if you look at the last 7 days.
Maybe it's the finger biting.
You've got Biden and then Yang in number 2. Although today Yang is very popular. Last few days Yang has been doing great on YouTube. So I think that's encouraging. What do you think? You think I mean, that's different than what of course we're seeing in the polls, Russell. What's your view on like this discrepancy between social and the polls?
Well, I think, first of all, that probably the only reason that people were searching for Joe Biden was because he bit his wife's finger on the stage not too long ago. And I think that was the only reason why people were searching for But as far as like the polls go, man, I'm telling you, I think the polls are like so inaccurate. And I think that the world's going to be shocked come election today because the YangGang, most of the YangGang is our generation and younger, man. And you know that yes, there are some people with landlines who are in the YangGang who are getting polled, but the greatest majority of us are people who have never been politically active before in their entire lives. And I haven't, Tom, I am 44 years old. I haven't owned a landline in, I mean, I don't even remember when I owned a landline. When my parents had one. Nobody that I know except for maybe one person, two people own landlines. You know, I mean, the polling is so off, it's unbelievable. And people are going to be shocked.
Here's one thing I will say about the polls, though. I'm a little worried because the DNC loves to use the polls to decide who gets to be on stage. You know?
Yes, they do. And DNC! Listen, they wonder why conservatives never switch sides and go to the or it's very rare that conservatives will switch sides and go to the Democrat side. It's because we see the corruption over here. We see what's going on over here. The DNC has been corrupt for so many years. That like, why would we? Yeah. Why would we switch over to the Democrat side? Well, now here comes Andrew Yang. That's a pretty good reason for me. That's why I'm a Yangocrat only. I am not vote blue no matter who. I'm sorry, y'all. I will leave you sitting over here.
No, so wait. Let me give you a scenario. You would vote for Trump over Bernie?
I will write in Andrew Yang. You know what? I don't want either one of those guys, to be honest with you. I don't want Trump and I don't want Bernie. But if I don't know. Bernie would be the guy who would get into Washington and still not be able to. He wouldn't be able to get anything done either. Yeah. So why just move away from Trump? You know, I mean, I don't know. You're not going to get any people who are over here who are former Trump supporters, really in great numbers, who are going to vote for, you know, because you call Bernie a socialist and he's done.
Yeah. The thing about the DNC using polls as a measuring stick to who gets on stage, it reminds me a little bit of like standardized test scores and getting into college, in that they are heavily biased in favor of certain groups, right? And so for polls, if you are a well-known person, like a senator, or you've been in DC forever, or the media loves you, then you naturally get this bump in your polling. Whereas if you're just like a citizen who cares about the country and has a lot of great ideas and grassroots support, like that's like the kid that doesn't have a lot of like special test prep resources or isn't practicing for the SAT all his life, and they're just gonna get disadvantaged. And I kind of feel like polls are like that for political candidates, especially the way the DNC is doing it. And the thing that scares me is I don't think they published their criteria for the January debate, but I presume they're going to just keep ratcheting up the poll numbers. And as you know, like it's not like we got into this one with tons of room to spare.
Yeah, we cut this one close, and you know, I saw a couple polls that have come out that are like fairly big polls, and they would ordinarily count for DNC qualifications. But like you said, the problem is this corrupt DNC that we were just talking about, they haven't parameters yet. So, you know, you got Andrew Yang polling at 5% in this poll that just came out. But if the DNC wants to, they can say, oh, well, we want it to be 6%.
Yeah.
So no matter what Andrew polls at, they can raise it above that if they want to, just because they.
The weird thing is, because Booker and Castro are making so much noise, I feel like they may be more willing to be flexible with the January debates. And because, you know, frankly, if Yang were left out in January because of the polls, like no one in the DNC would care. But I think they're being careful not to be seen excluding folks like Booker and Castro. So
Well,
maybe they'll help us.
If you know anything about the DNC, they're just exactly like the Republican side, and they like to play identity politics.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if the DNC can say, you know, well, you know, we're going to do it this way, and we're going to, you know, to pander to certain people, or to, you know, to get more people in, if that's what it takes, then they're going to do that. They're a company. It's like any other company, man. They're going to do
How fucking crazy would it be if they changed the rules and they found a way to get like Booker in, but then like Yang got left out? That would be fucking ridiculous.
He got left out because his birthday was on the wrong day.
Yeah, or like it's alphabetical or some bullshit, and you're like, what the fuck? It would not surprise me.
Surprise me. It wouldn't surprise. Would it surprise you?
No, it would not. No,
and
it
you
would not.
Right?
Yeah.
There you go.
It's nuts. It's nuts. Let me ask you this, Russell. What are your thoughts on how Yang should talk about Trump? Like historically, he's always been focused on the problems and the solutions. But I kind of feel like with this impeachment and all of this Trump talk, I wonder a little bit if we shouldn't take a position on Trump as a campaign.
Don't do it. Because here's the thing. The Democrat side, y'all, look, they're going to look stupid because they voted for impeachment last night, which is wanted, but it's not going anywhere. Trump's not going anywhere. So what did you do? You basically threw a rock and wasted your breath and said, oh, he's the bad guy. And guess what? He's still going to be over there saying, oh, no, they're the bad guys. Nothing changed. What did you accomplish? So if you take that position and you start attacking Trump, all you're doing is solidifying his base. And all you're doing is alienating anybody that wants to come over to your side. So I think Andrew Yang is smart in staying away from the Trump talk. He already knows. He's already said that it's going to fail. He knows that they're not going to have enough votes to get it passed.
Yeah.
To get it. So what are we doing? We're wasting our time.
Your recommendation would be don't talk about Trump till the general, or even what about if Yang gets the nomination? Then you have to talk about Trump, right? Or no?
If Yang gets the nomination, it's no holds barred, baby. It is. I'm telling you, man. You got
to go popcorn. Get the popcorn and the hot talks ready, man. It's gonna be on. All right.
That's right.
Look, we only have like about 10 minutes before the big show. Let me ask the audience, if you guys have any questions for Russell and me, go ahead and put it in the chat box, and I'll try and pick out a few. And then we will wrap up. And while we're waiting for the first questions to roll in, let me ask you this, Russell. Have you seen, I guess, since you're on the trail, you've probably seen a little bit of Evelyn and her kind of interactions. Like, how has that changed the vibe of the trail or of Andrew, or what's that been like?
I'm sorry, the question was about Evelyn being on the trail now?
Yeah, how has that changed the vibe of the campaign?
It's like you said, we've spoken to Andrew many times on and off camera, and if there's thing about Andrew that always shines through is that he is very much a family man. And he always, it never fails, he always talks about Evelyn, and he always talks about his kids. And you know, one night, I don't know if you saw the video or not, but we were with Andrew at an event in New Hampshire, and my son went up and just started playing skee ball with him. And you know, while the news cameras were rolling, and Andrew was up there playing skee ball, and little YangGang just went up there and started playing skee ball right next to him, and Andrew played the game with him. And you know, he treats my kids like he treats his kids. And that is something that you can't. Andrew is a dad, man. He is a husband. Y'all, if you can't believe in this guy, I'm telling you, I've been around him. I've seen him. He's all about his family, and he's all about other people's families. Because look at the way this guy grew up. You know, he grew up in a very probably strict environment. You know, you gotta do well. You know, he's in an environment where he's growing up around all basically white families. You know, he's picked on, he's getting bullied. he's seen what it's like to be on that side.
Right.
And if anybody's ever been picked on in school, you know what it's like. It sucks. But what it does is it builds character in you. And then when you get older, you tend to have a heart for people.
Yeah.
That's what I noticed most about Andrew is his heart for people.
Yeah.
He loves the people, and we haven't had the opportunity to meet Evelyn yet. We're hoping to maybe on New Year's Eve, and we look very forward to it. But you can just tell the type of people they are. It's pretty obvious.
Yeah. All right. So let me buzz through some questions because we only got about 10 minutes before the big show. Hi-Fi wants to know how do you think Yang's doing in New Hampshire? You spent some time up there, as you mentioned. What's the read?
I think Yang is doing a lot better in New Hampshire than people are giving him credit for. I know what he's polling at in New Hampshire, and it's constantly growing. But I'm going to these Andrew Yang events, right? And we're covering them for the channel, and we're saying it's usually probably about a 40-60 split as to YangGang and people who are not decided yet. Because people in New Hampshire, they're serious about their politics.
Mm-hmm.
Every time that we leave one of those Andrew Yang events, the YangGang grows at the next one. It's getting crazy.
So you're feeling good about New Hampshire?
I'm feeling real good about it. And we're up here. The Grassroots YangGang is up here, y'all.
Oh, we can't lose. We can't lose if you're up in the Grand Estate. If there's one thing you hope Yang would talk about this debate, what do you think it would, what would it be?
If there's one thing that I hope that he would talk about this debate, that's a good question, because there's so many topics that he's so good at. I just kind of hope that he's able to get into his healthcare plan a little bit tonight, because I know that there's some questions, but I also see the way that he put it together was you got to get the immediate problems under control first, and then we talk about getting the other stuff going. So I'm kind of hoping it's the healthcare plan.
My take on that is I care less about a specific topic. I just want to see him in a one-on-one confrontation with one of the other candidates, because I think whatever the topic is, it will be very clear who has thought this through more and who's not the politician.
For sure. And we both know that Andrew is the smartest man on stage. So
that motherfucker is smart. I agree. Because even in the couple times we've had him on Nerds for Yang, usually I'm like, hey, do you want me to give you a preview of the questions? And he's like, well, yeah, my people have looked at it, but you can just ask me whatever you want. And I'm like, really? Anything I want? And he just delivers on a wide range. He's just clearly he's no dummy. Who do you support for VP, for Yang VP, Russell?
Yang VP. Oh man, I want Tulsi Gabbard as the VP because I think that they would be the most impactful duo by far of any two people on that Democratic stage. That's who I want. Tulsi.
I'm going to disagree with you slightly. I like Tulsi too. I actually find her super authentic and courageous. I think if she were on the ticket, it may affect Democratic turnout. So I would go for a safer running mate. I don't know if I would go Klobuchar, but maybe.
Man, you pick somebody that's not on that stage, Tom. I would rather have Cory Booker than Amy Klobuchar.
Yeah, maybe Booker. They actually get along well. Oh, dude. We get Yang, you're going to get the independents, you're going to get some Obama-Trump voters, and you get Booker, you're going to get the African-American turnout. Shit. How about that? I take that. I take that.
All day long.
All right. Well, you just let Andrew know when next time you see him that we agreed. It's all done. That Booker's
we'll see him in about a week, so I will be sure to.
Shit. All right. Well, I think those were the main questions that we wanted to get to. So, Russell, I just wanted to thank you for spending time with us. I know you. I've actually been watching your show for a while, and my son, Brandon, my youngest, he loves your show. And
shout out to Brandon.
He always asks me how come, Dad, how come you don't talk like Russell? I'm like, well, dude, I grew up in New Jersey. We don't talk like that.
Hey, look, I'm telling you, man, that Southern accent is not that hard to pick up.
Dude, well, I told him he should watch some Foghorn Leghorn, and then he can try to practice.
Dude, Foghorn, really?
Foghorn Leghorn's the man.
Foghorn Leghorn?
He's the man. That was my favorite. Hey, Lassa, how are you doing?
I know I haven't been here time, but
I had a sense. I sensed your presence.
and you probably heard me laughing a couple times.
Yeah, my YangGang likes to talk how I got the mush mouth. That's what she calls it.
Well, you also brought up the finger biting evidence about why people are searching for Biden, I think. So we appreciate the fact checking in there. So
Yeah,
hey, Russell, before we wrap up, how can people find out more about what you guys are doing? Because there might be some nerds for Yang who aren't as familiar with your channel. And so just tell us a little bit about what you're up to, how people can find you, and then we'll enjoy the debate.
yes, absolutely. Just go to YouTube, type in Grassroots, #YangGang. And it will pull up our channel, and we do all kinds of Andrew Yang events. We cover him as much as we possibly can. We've been to Detroit, we've been to Portland, we've been to New York City for the UBI March. We do all kinds of stuff. We are fighting every day for the YangGang up there in New Hampshire, y'all.
Love it, love it. Well, you guys are also one of the earliest YangGang content creators when it wasn't as cool to be supporting Andrew. So much respect, and keep fighting and give him hell on the road there. We love what you're doing.
Absolutely. We love y'all, YangGang.
Keep it real. Peace. Goodbye, nerds.
Goodbye, nerds.